Well, hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. As you can see from the title down below, today I am going to be doing a video on a technique that I've learned to help people who are newbies like me learn tarot. Now, just to let everybody know, I do not know all things tarot. I am still learning myself, but I got inspiration to make this video from Tarot Oracle here on YouTube, and I will link his video down below so you can go ahead and watch that as well. But I find that this technique is a great way for beginners to learn tarot. Now, for me personally, when I got the interest to learn tarot, I just wanted to be able to pick up a deck, read the book, and just know how to read, just know everything, be able to pick a card, any card, and be like, I know what this card means, and be able to do readings within a couple of weeks. And I started to find out that that's not the case. And I've been watching all kinds of YouTube videos trying to learn the tarot. And this particular technique I thought was really, really helpful and is amazing for newbies like me. And it's also really great for people, I believe, who are experts and who read all of the time to introduce themselves to new decks. So that is what we're going to be doing today. Now, with that said, I do believe that the deck choosing for learning tarot is important. And I kind of touched base on this in my last tarot video that I made when I introduced you all to my tarot collection. But I was really opposed to picking up the traditional Rider-Waite deck, mainly just because I was not connected with the artwork. It's not the style that I love. And so I tried to buy like the really pretty decks that I really connected with. And I did buy the Mystic Dreamers Tarot, the very first deck I ever bought. It came with an excellent book that was very descriptive, and it had a lot to do with using your own intuition. But I did find difficulty pulling and learning those cards. And as many videos as I watched, people telling me, if you're going to be starting out, you need the Rider-Waite deck. If you're starting out, you need the Rider-Waite deck. I tried so hard to not give in and say, nope, I can learn this without the traditional deck. But I truly do believe that this is the deck you want to start with. Most decks are based on the original meanings from this deck. And the thing is when someone creates a tarot deck, they put their own interpretations and ideas into those art pieces as well. And so even though they have the basic definitions the same, there can be a lot of confusion, in my opinion. And so I do think that it is essential for you to purchase a Rider-Waite deck. Now, the version that I have is the Smith-Waite, and this is the Centennial Edition. And I bought this deck because of the muted colors, and I really did enjoy the backs of the cards. And for some reason, backs of cards are really important to me aesthetically for reading. I don't know why. But these cards have so many different styles now. You can get Rider-Waite decks that have really bright colorings instead of the muted. You can get ones where the artwork is more cartoonish, if that's more your art style. You can get cards that are all black instead of any color. You can get cards where there's like gold inlay in the images. There are so many different types of styles for the Rider-Waite deck. So I definitely think that if you are going to purchase one, find a style that really speaks to you. And you don't have to use it for readings. If you're going to end up doing readings for people, you can just use it for a study deck. And one neat thing that I saw one YouTuber do is they actually put the keywords and definitions on the borders of the cards. That way it was always there when they were studying. And I thought that was a really great idea as well. But I do think this is essential, and it is a great way to learn. The images are very simple, and once you have mastered this deck, any deck that you get that's based on the Rider-Waite system will be so much easier for you to learn. And again, this is my personal opinion. Maybe some others who have learned tarot were able to grasp the concepts and terms better with another deck. And of course, you need to do what works best with you. There is no one right way to tarot. There just isn't. And people will read differently as well. You'll have some people who will read the cards who strictly use the book terms and don't intentionally try to put their intuition into the reading. You have people who strictly use intuition and really don't use what the definition, from the book is. You have people who meet in the middle. Tarot cards are based on the person using them. It's going to be based on your feelings. It's going to be based on how you relate to the images. It's going to be based on how you want to approach the reading. And some people don't even use tarot for as we grow up learning fortune telling. They don't use it as some type of spiritual reading. They use it to maybe get their creative writing juices flowing. I actually had a counselor who used a tarot deck, so if you were unable to communicate how you were feeling, you could look through the deck and pick a card, and she could go off that and say, okay, so you're feeling depressed. And so the image was something that was easy to understand for her to relate to how you were feeling. So tarot itself can be used in many different ways as well. So there's not even one right way to learn the tarot, but I find this technique is very, very helpful, and I do hope you enjoy it. And if you do have a Smith-Waite or Rider-Waite traditional deck handy, go ahead and pull it out with me, and let's get into this tutorial now that I have talked your ear off. So the exercise we're going to be doing is going to be based on movies. So we're basically going to be looking at our cards as if we walked into the wrong theater, saw one scene of a movie, realized it was the wrong movie, went back to our friend who was in the other theater, and we're going to describe to them that scene. So we're just going to go off one pile here that I already have set aside for this exercise. So we have this. This is the Five of Pentacles. And again, we're not going to be trying to dig deep into the meaning. We're not going to try to get any significance of what pentacles mean. Nothing. Just if you walked into a theater and saw this scene, how would you describe it to your friend? So for me, I walk in the theater and I'm just like, oh, I'm watching a comedy. This definitely isn't my movie. I walk out, go tell my friend, oh my gosh, so the movie that's playing in the next theater, it looks really depressing. There was two homeless people walking in the snow, and it looks like they may have been trying to find shelter in a church, but it was really sad. Simple. It's a very simple explanation. There's no trying to dig deeper meaning. I don't know yet what the pentacles mean. I'm just looking at the card at face value. The next card that we're going to pull, we have the Queen of Pentacles. Now, with this card, again, just looking at it, face value, what would you tell a friend? I don't know. The movie kind of looked boring. There was this queen who had this huge gold piece in her hands, but she looked really dissatisfied with that. And I don't know how she could be. If I had that much money, I would be a happy camper. Again, just face value. Don't complicate it. Here we have the Six of Swords. So I don't know. I think I walked into a fantasy movie and there was this family who was going on a trip, but they kind of looked depressed and they weren't excited about it, which I don't know. I don't know if it was fantasy or a drama or what, but it was crazy. Next card, Two of Wands. So I walked into this movie and there was a guy standing on a balcony and he freaking had a globe in his hand, and he was like looking out at the horizon. Like, I don't know if he was going to try to conquer the world or if he just felt like he was on top of the world and he had everything ahead of him, but it looks like a really strange movie. Like, who walks around with a globe in their hand? Now, I am sort of being silly, but you get the idea of where I'm going with this. So it's just about taking the cards at face value and not complicating the meanings. Now, what we're going to do, why this is called the movie exercise, is because I'm going to take a very popular movie and I'm going to grab cards to basically give a synopsis of the movie. And so I chose a movie that I think most people watching this have seen. I'm almost sure. If you haven't, I would really be shocked. And I'm not going to tell you the title of the movie yet. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to lay down each card and describe the card to you as a scene. And at the end, I will reveal the movie. Once we have done that, we will go ahead and we will take those cards from the movie and we will turn it into how you would interpret it to a reading question from a querent. So this is the first card from the movie. So there were these two poor people who were kind of looking for, a safe place to land their head. Then we have this girl who has the world at her feet, but she doesn't seem satisfied or happy about it. Now all three of them end up going on this journey together in a boat. And one of the guys is really hopeful. He thinks that he has his whole life ahead of him. The whole world is at his feet, and he's just super excited about this journey. But this girl, man, like, she just feels trapped. Like, she just doesn't have anywhere to go. And it's keeping her up at night. She's really depressed. She can't sleep. And she just wants out. She just doesn't want to do it anymore. She doesn't know what else to do. But this guy, man, he comes in, knight in shining armor, ready to save her from this situation. And they fall in love. It's not love at first sight necessarily. They just have this mutual understanding and connection that's just undeniable. But their love is causing conflict within their world. And unfortunately, something really tragic happens. And the guy ends up dying. But their love is everlasting. It lives within her. And from this relationship, this love, she's able to gain so much knowledge and strength within herself and live a happy life. Okay, so that is all of the cards for the reading, and I'm sure there are some of you who may have guessed what the movie is, but in case you have not, the movie I chose was Titanic. Now, granted, that movie is a really long movie, and I would have to choose a ton of cards to get a full picture of Titanic, but it gives you an idea of how to do this exercise. You just go through, kind of get a general explanation of the movie and pick cards that will match. And I think that it's a really fun exercise. I really truly do. And you can do this with any movie. So, if you wanted to do an action movie, a horror movie, a comedy, find cards in your deck that will reflect that meaning. Another great way to get connected to your cards is to try to find what genre the card is. So for an example, this would definitely be an action movie, probably Michael Bay, since something's blowing up. This could be an action movie as well, or it could be a drama about a family fighting. Who knows? Obviously, this could be a romance. Maybe it's a romantic comedy, This looks like it could be a fantasy film, or, an action film as well. This I would definitely say, with the stigma of this card, this could be definitely a horror movie. So even adding the genre to this scene can help you determine the mood of the reading. So now that we've gone through the images to a story we already know, we're going to take these images and try to turn that into a reading. So the question that we're going to be using, because relationship questions are the most commonly asked, this woman comes into you and says, my boyfriend and I just broke up and I want to know if we will get back together. So we're going to take the knowledge we've gained of the scenes of the cards and try to relate them to a reading with our querent. So again, the first card that we draw, we see two poor people outside. So you could ask the querent. I feel like it's very important to include your querent in the reading. And I do feel if I was reading for somebody that I would want to involve them and ask questions and pull information from them. I don't need to act like I have all the answers. So I'd say, well, it looks like one or both of you maybe were really struggling on your own or when you first met in the relationship. Yeah, we were actually. Both of us were really struggling. Okay, cool. And it looks like so with this card, you could say like, oh, were you both struggling at the beginning of the relationship? No, I don't think I was really struggling. Okay, so maybe it was just him. Maybe he was having a really, tough time, maybe financially, maybe emotionally. Then you pull this card. Well, it's a queen, so you could assume that's, your querent. It looks like you actually did have your life put together. It looks like you had, financial stability, and it looks like you just weren't happy and you didn't know why. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so moving on. You pull this card. All right, so did you guys possibly meet at work? Did you go on a work trip together? No, we didn't meet at work. We never went on a work trip together. Okay. Did you guys, when you first met, did you go on a trip together, like a mini vacation? Yeah, actually we did. And we were both kind of apprehensive about our relationship at this point. So, your querent's talking, involving, and you're like, okay, so you guys went on a trip together and it looks like you both were a little bit apprehensive of where the relationship might go during this trip. But it looks like, he was really hopeful. He thought you guys kind of had the world at your feet, that there were many beautiful things on the horizon for you. But it looks like you felt trapped by maybe past pain. Yeah, actually, I had gone through a lot of breakups and I wasn't sure if I could trust this. And so I really did feel like I was trapped in my past pain. Okay, cool. Not that she would repeat everything you say, but you're getting the general idea here. So here with this card, it looks like you had a lot of sleepless nights. Maybe you were really, really depressed and you just didn't know what to do. Yeah, absolutely. Now, with this card, in my opinion, because there's such a stigma and a lot of people who are new into tarot may fear this card, I would start with the positive side of this first before just jumping to the conclusion that it actually means death, right? So I would say, okay, so I know that this card is about the end of something and the beginning of something. So I would start with that and say, okay, so, were you scared of, this new beginning that may be happening with this relationship? No, I don't think I was scared. Okay, so now we dig a little bit deeper. So because of you feeling trapped by your past and being really depressed, did you just feel like ending things? Yeah, actually, I did have, thoughts of suicide, or, just not wanting to wake up the next day. So again, starting kind of on the positive note, if it gets darker, go with it. But again, involving your client and knowing how to word things so we don't freak them out when we get cards like this, because this card should not be feared. Then we have the Knight of Swords. Great card. So it looks like, you were going through this really tough time. You were really depressed. You didn't feel like going on, but man, he just rushed in to try to save you and make you feel better. Oh yeah, he was amazing. He really did save me. And it looks like, you guys didn't necessarily have like an intense, passionate attraction right away, but you grew love. You grew an understanding and a great foundation. Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so then did you guys happen to fight a lot in the relationship? No, actually, we hardly fought. We actually got along really well. Okay, so did possibly your relationship cause conflict with family or friends? Oh, yeah. His family didn't know why we were together. We didn't have a lot in common. They thought that he deserved more. Or maybe vice versa. Maybe she says, my family thought that I deserved more. They didn't understand why I was with him because he didn't have anything to offer me. You say, okay. So then it looks like there was some big explosion, something that rattled the foundation that you had built with your significant other. Maybe an argument between, the family and you. Yeah, my family and I did have a big argument about the relationship, and it was really tough on our relationship. Okay. And it looks like he maybe felt betrayed by this. Maybe this conflict, maybe he felt like you didn't have his back in the conflict, and so he ended it. He felt so hurt that he had to end the relationship. Yeah, you're right. He did end the relationship. He did feel like I chose my family over him, or vice versa. Okay. But it does look like you both really do still have a lot of love for each other. You're still both hopeful that this love is real and it can stand the test of time. And it looks like with you, this relationship, this whole process has given you a lot of strength and knowledge and patience. So those are kind of my descriptions of the cards as if I were reading them to a client that asked the question, my significant other and I just broke up, will we get back together? Now, this isn't a yes or no answer. And if I was going to give my querent an answer, what I would say is that you both still love each other and you have grown a lot from this. So if you are able to try and fix this conflict and help him to feel like you are sorry if he felt betrayed and you want to fix it and to get back to this situation, I do think that you both have enough love that this could work out for you. But also, if you aren't willing, or if you feel that you're unable to fix this conflict, or you're not able to make him feel like it wasn't a betrayal, you did grow and learn so much from this relationship that you will be successful in your next venture. So to me, that's how I personally would read this. Taking each card one step at a time, trying to fit it into their question. So, going back to the top, he was down on his luck. She wasn't. They went on a trip together, kind of apprehensive about their relationship. He was really hopeful about it, but she kind of felt trapped in her past situations or feelings. She was really depressed and losing sleep. She kind of just wanted to end everything, but he came in wanting to save her. They grew to love each other, have a great foundation, but there was conflict within her family, and that caused a big shatter of their relationship. He felt betrayed, but they both still love each other, and she's gained a lot of knowledge and strength from this, and so it's up to her to decide whether to fix it or not. To me, even if someone who's an expert tarot reader is watching this saying, "Oh, you're missing so much," I'm sure I am, and I'm sure there are meanings in these cards that I'm missing for the reading, but I feel like this is just a great exercise to use to help you get acquainted with the cards, seeing the images, understanding some of the meaning. And what's great, and something I do recommend, is keeping a tarot journal. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You could just pick up a spiral notebook, but draw your cards based on the movie that you chose. Then turn it into a reading with the question, my boyfriend and I just broke up, will we get back together? Do your reading like I just did, write it down, and then what you can do is you can grab the book that came with the deck, or even just look online, and you can compare the definitions of the cards with what you already thought they were and fill in the holes. And I feel like that's a lot faster of a way to learn the cards, but also it will make you feel more confident, because I truly do believe that you will already have a good understanding or basic understanding of the cards without reading any definitions. And so once you've done this with multiple movies and multiple cards, when you start to try and study the book definitions, you'll notice that you don't have a lot more to learn. You'll just be adding more depth into your reading. So, I don't actually have an example with the cards I have out now, but like once you learn what the pentacles mean, a lot of it has to do with like financial things or physical things in the world, I believe. So you'll be able to add that into the reading and add on to it. Now, one other thing that I do want to mention that I also got from the Tarot Oracle video was that court cards can be a little bit difficult to read because they're not doing anything. There's no action here. They're just sitting. Now, I chose this particular card because I knew that Pentacles was about like finances and physical things. And, she is kind of looking down at it and doesn't have a smile. She does look kind of sad. And so I chose that. But if you're somebody who draws a court card and they're just sitting there with no action, the best thing to do is just to draw another card. So draw another card to give the court card an action. So, we have this queen, so we know it's probably a female who is feeling really betrayed right now, who feels like nothing has gone right. It's the end of them. It gives the card an emotion, an action of some sort. So that's another tip too, is if you're pulling up the court cards and you're having a tough time trying to fit them into this exercise, just draw a card, give them an action, and then move on. Maybe she's betrayed by a past relationship. You see how you're starting to make connections there? I just feel like this exercise is so helpful and it's so fun, and you can choose from all kinds of movies. I even think you could choose a song and try to lay out the song in tarot cards and then try to do the reading. And again, just having one basic question to work with, because it'll give you the flow of reading and how you're connecting the cards and how it can fit into a bigger picture. And I definitely think that when you're practicing for a querent, that involving them and asking them questions isn't a bad thing. Now, of course, every reader has their own style, and I think that's really what makes tarot so fascinating, is that everybody does read differently and has a different way to approach things. But I think for me, if I was going to be reading for someone, I wouldn't be hesitant to ask them, so did you both fight in the relationship a lot? No. Okay, so was there conflict because of your relationship with friends and family? Absolutely, yeah. So involving them, I feel like, makes them more comfortable, because especially with people who have like preconceived ideas of what tarot is and how it works, if you go into it thinking that this is the truth, set in stone, nothing can change, I think that it kind of turns people off, and especially if you're not involving them and trying to get to know them. And that, again, is my personal opinion. But I do think that it makes people more comfortable, and that's how I would want to read with a client. But this video is almost a half an hour long. I really hope that this does help some of the newbies out there who are like me, who may be struggling with trying to learn tarot and kind of have put this like pressure on themselves of trying to learn every single definition and keyword and trying to memorize all 78 cards. I feel like this is a great exercise. And as I mentioned, for people who already are reading tarot, who have been doing it for a while, I do think this is a great way to get to know a new deck. Just pulling out cards, laying out the images with a storyline that you already know, instead of trying to do readings on yourself if you don't have a querent, and just getting to know the images and getting your intuition juices flowing. And I mean, most cards are based on either like a pip deck or the Rider-Waite style. And so once you have the basics of these memorized, it's usually pretty easy. But some decks will just have artwork. And so getting into it and trying to really feel your way through it, I think this is a great exercise to do so. Any hoozles, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I had a great time making it. If you'd like to see more tarot related videos, give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment below if you do try this and if it has helped you in your tarot journey. It really has helped me, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye.